Welcome to We're With You, the podcast where every story matters and together we ignite possibilities. So grab a cup of coffee or matcha if that's your thing, settle in and join us. This podcast is brought to you by Adjoin.
Today we're joined by three guests from Spectrum Designs, a nonprofit custom apparel and promotional products company that's redefining what's possible through inclusive employment. What began in a backyard barn and a single print machine has grown into a thriving enterprise and continues to grow every day. Currently, they have around 100 employees and 70% of them are neurodiverse. Joining us today are Patrick Bardsley, co-founder and CEO, Kelly Fisher, social media manager extraordinaire, and Robert Walter, operations assistant, who's just beginning his Spectrum Designs journey. Together, we'll explore how meaningful employment can transform lives, challenge assumptions about autism in the workplace, and create opportunities where talent, not diagnoses, takes center stage. Welcome.
Thank you so much for giving us your time today. First, Patrick, I would like it if you could tell us a little bit about the story behind Spectrum Designs.
I'm co-founder and CEO of Spectrum Designs, co-founded in 2011 by myself and two mothers of children who are now adults on the autism spectrum. The business was born out of necessity, as you guys know, a tremendously high unemployment rate for those on the autism spectrum. Spectrum Design sought to meet that with the solution of creating a business. And the business itself gets its name from its employees, we're Spectrum Designs, because 70% of our now, 15 years later, 100-person workforce are on the autism spectrum and or neurodivergent. And we're a design company, so Spectrum Designs is there. And as I said, the business was really born out of necessity being the mother of all invention and wanting to create solutions for obviously what is a really wide scale and large problem.
So Patrick, for you, how did you get into this idea of creating Spectrum Designs? How did you get connected with the two moms who are also co-founders?
Yeah, I grew up in the United Kingdom and I actually got a job working at a summer camp for individuals on the autism spectrum upstate New York. That was 20 years ago, gosh, in 2006. And that whole summer changed the direction of my entire life. I not only loved getting to know and working alongside individuals who thought and learned differently, but also had lots of conversations with parents, especially at pick up and drop off, around what happens next, what happens after camp, what happens after high school, what happens when the school bus stops coming. And the recurring theme was always, there's a lot of fear there, there's a lot of concern, there's a lot of uncertainty. And I remember one conversation that stuck out with me with a mother who shared with me that she was so fearful of that next question and what happens next, that her one wish was just to live one day longer than her son, so that she could guarantee that she'd be there for every single day to take care of him. And no parent should wish that. And even as an 18-year-old, I knew that. And so that's what I think really, for me personally, inspired the rest of the journey for me, was just to say, well, we have to do more for adults on the autism spectrum, and employment is just one of those main vehicles that we get to achieve, independence in our own form, self-worth, happiness, structure, routine, all of those things, and of course the paycheck. So those moments, those conversations you have, however painful, often good can come out of them. I think with Spectrum Designs, that's the case, of course.
So what kind of materials are you guys designing at Spectrum Designs? And what companies do you work with?
Yeah, so the joke at Spectrum Designs is if you think it, we can ink it, right? And so it really, any product, any apparel product, so you think hats, t-shirts, polos, hoodies, tote bags, all of those things. And then on top of that, promotional products, so pens, mugs, lanyards, mouse pads, all of those things. We've been fortunate in our 15 years to get the support and partnership of some major companies, Microsoft, Google's, your IBMs, and big companies that do events and need products, as well as local nonprofits, national nonprofits, the deli up the street, those kinds of things. And I think what's great about what we do is, yes, we're a nonprofit, and yes, every nonprofit's mission is important, but obviously with us and with Spectrum Designs, when you have a product that people need, you can kind of check two boxes, right? You can get the product that you need if you're Microsoft, but you can also check a social impact box and feel good about the purchase that you're making and know that there's a real world direct impact to the workforce here at Spectrum Designs. And thankfully, in our 15 years, we've seen a number of other businesses and social enterprises come up with the same model because they've realized that people want to purchase and they want to support, they want to get the things that they need. But if we can have a social impact linked to that, then, that becomes a kind of why wouldn't we, and that's really encouraging and heartening for us over the years to see the number of customers we've gotten that have just said, if everything else is equal, if the quality is there, if the price is there, if you can deliver it on time, then why wouldn't I use you guys? Because I wanna support the mission, and that's been incredible.
Why build a nonprofit around promotional products and apparel versus just like a traditional like vocational or employment service agency?
Obviously the model around employment placement existed in 2011, in terms of as a vocational agency working with the businesses in the local community and placing people and we wanted to start our own business so that we could employ people. So we weren't knocking on the door of the local community to kind of ask them to employ them. And so I think what's specifically great about apparel and promotional products is there's a repetition to what we're doing and it's very clear and concrete. There's a clear beginning, middle, and end. It's highly objective when it's done or when it's not. So that makes it easier to teach, frankly, and also easier to upskill and give different opportunities. And so we control the environment. We're not going to, dismiss someone if they stim or have an outburst. I mean, obviously, we understand that. So we're willing to work with people based on that. So I think there's a number of reasons that we wanted to create the business ourselves versus create an agency that was going to support people in that placement. And there are a lot of amazing agencies doing that. Our partners in New Jersey, the North Jersey Friendship House, the Nicholas Center in New York, they're doing that great work. We just felt like we wanted to see what it would, if we could create a business of our own and then employ as many people as possible in it.
And Kelly, what about you? How did you find out about Spectrum Designs? What is your role currently within the organization? And can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So my name is Kelly Fisher, and I'm the social media manager at Spectrum Designs. And I started working at Spectrum 7 years ago. We have another social enterprise called Spectrum Suds, and I actually started working there because I met one of the co-founders at a networking event for another nonprofit called Yes She Can. And then I was introduced to Spectrum, and I was diagnosed at age 14 on the spectrum, and I was shy and quiet. And I didn't really understand my disability until I was an adult. And then as I understood my disability, I started volunteering at a nonprofit that employed autistic adults. And I struggled to get jobs. On one job interview, the employer told me he couldn't hire me because I didn't make eye contact. And when I was volunteering with the girls on the spectrum, I was like, I would love to work with people on the spectrum and do something I'm passionate about. So I started working at Spectrum Suds, which is our other business that we have in Port Washington. And I loved working with the people on the spectrum, being a positive inspiration. But I didn't really love the laundry. So after working there for a little bit, they noticed that I always had ideas and thoughts. And the CEO, Patrick, was like, maybe she would be good at running our social media. And they had a job opening because they gave someone a promotion. So since they knew I was a great employee and they saw my potential, they had me start running the social media about 4 years ago. And ever since, the social media has been skyrocketing. We've gone from 7,000 followers to over 200,000 followers on all platforms. We've had a 30 million view video. Me and Patrick got on the Kelly Clarkson show. So it's great that Spectrum sees the potential in the employees. I went to college, I graduated, but I didn't go to school for social media. So he saw my potential, and it goes to show you, you don't have to end up in what you go to school for. And there's people and employers out there that will understand you and see your potential.
Kelly, thank you so much for sharing your story. That is truly amazing. So next, let's turn it to Robert. Robert, can you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do at Spectrum Designs?
Sure. So my name is Robert Walter, and I'm the operations assistant at Spectrum Designs, and I'm basically like the foremost like friend center person to actually deal with the actual merchandise and all that, like from the time that it comes to the door. And through UPS or FedEx or wherever we get it from, to like the sorting of the inventory, to even bringing it into the proper places, and then after it's basically done, and to just sort it again and and count it to see if they're all there. Make sure that nothing has to be uh, like redone or anything like that. So and I basically then box everything up, and I basically help ship it out as well.
And how long have you been with Spectrum Designs?
I've been with Spectrum Designs. It's going on 3 months now.
That's great. And have you worked at other places before?
I've worked at one other job prior to this. I was a cashier at one of my local grocery stores, and I was literally there for like since that location opened, which was basically 10 years ago. So I got out exactly at the right time that I did, because right now it's been like on and off at the place where I worked before. But yeah.
How did you hear about Spectrum Designs? What made you leave your job as a cashier to join Spectrum?
Well, I've been trying to look for a different job for like ever since like the 30 years that I basically was working there. But then, as you know, COVID hit, and that basically threw the job market like off kilter for some odd years. And then basically I noticed that I was definitely not really wanting to work there literally like anymore, because managers and such weren't even like understanding me as if they used to. And yeah, I kept on getting like reported by like people thinking that I was yelling at them when I was actually talking to them. And I also ended up, over the years I was working there, I also ended up getting a call like very bad names as well, which basically at first made me uncomfortable, but over the time of that, I started to get my own backbone, and I actually stood up for myself. So yeah, and I basically heard about Spectrum Designs through Indeed, and I applied, and a- after that, I got a call back, or an email back about it, and they said that they wanted to do like a quick phone interview, and I did that, and then basically after that, I went into the location for an in-person, like see what the place is about and all that.
Work trial.
And yeah, the work trial and all that. And basically after all that, everything fell into place, and I ended up getting the position.
Great. Kelly and Robert, you can chime in on this too, but what are some challenges that you think someone who has a diagnosis, what are challenges to getting employment?
Yes, I will say I was on a job interview once, and I have college degrees, and I am very passionate about certain things, and it was a company I was passionate about for. And within 5 minutes, the employer told me he couldn't hire me because I didn't make eye contact, which had nothing to do with the job, and I would have been great at the job. So like some things like that, they didn't even know about my diagnosis, and they just didn't want to hire me because I didn't make eye contact. And I know some people are afraid to share a diagnosis because they're afraid that they'll judge them before they even get hired. And I will say I have had some jobs that were great, and I worked at a clothing store part-time for several years, and I never disclosed my diagnosis, because then one of my managers said, "I noticed some things about you. Are you on the spectrum?" And I said, "Yeah." And they were very welcoming and understanding. So I think if you find a place that understands you, it's great.
Yeah, for me, it has been very difficult trying to find a job because of being on the spectrum. And I think one of my main things that was like troubling me to getting a job was because I kept on like stuttering a little bit and like struggling to find my words to like come out. So I think they didn't seem to like see past that. Uh, and yeah, they basically didn't see my actual full potential that I actually had to actually doing that actual position. Like I, I have degree. I have an associate's degree in business administration and a BS degree in marketing. And I noticed through the marketing portion of the jobs, you have to have like at least a 2 to 4 years experience, which I unfortunately don't have because I too tried getting internships, but the people just didn't get back to me to actually go on internships and all that as I was in college. So, but I'm here now, and
And
I'm glad that I am.
and one thing I'll say about Spectrum is ever since the pandemic, the interviews are now all on Zoom or Teams, whatever you want to call it, but they're very inclusive. And like, for example, I know Robert, did you go on the interview with your mom?
Yeah.
Robert was able to go on the job interview with his mom, and Spectrum didn't judge him for that, and they still gave him a chance. But most companies, if you go on a job interview with your parent, they would just like dismiss you. But the Spectrum saw the potential in Robert, and everyone loves him here. So
That's true.
So that's amazing. And what is working at Spectrum? What has it done for you personally?
working at Spectrum has helped me grow professionally, and it's helped grow my confidence. And I've been given many opportunities over my years here. I've been able to go on the Kelly Clarkson show. I've been able to introduce Adam Sandler on stage twice. I've just given many opportunities to grow and shine and be myself and be more confident. Also, it's my first full-time job I've ever had, so I'm able to be fully self-independent and not have to rely on my parents to help support me. So it's helped me grow tremendously.
Yeah. So basically, this too is my first actual full time job. So a so it basically brought me closer to actually also being somewhat independent of myself instead of depending on my parents for most of my things. And also being here made my anxiety and stress at least like either fully go away or at least up to a point where I can actually manage it to like an extent. Basically, when I was in the other job, I was stressed pretty much all day and all night at times, even not even falling asleep. So yeah, I was basically staying awake like maybe till 5, 6 in the morning at times, worrying about what people would say about me and all that. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've not heard Roger's story before, and I know you've only been here 3 months, and I'm pretty I feel a bit choked up, to be honest. So I don't know how. Yeah, you don't often get a chance to hear your employees talking about what the job means to them directly in this manner. So I guess just being able to listen for a little while was really nice. Thank you guys for the questions and for letting Callie and Robert share their stories, because that's far more important than mine, in my opinion. And they've had to work harder to get to where they are. In so many ways.
What are your dreams or your career goals?
I would say one of the hardest parts about my job is seeing all the comments on social media. People saying, I want a Spectrum in Minnesota, I want a Spectrum in California. So, and I can't obviously help them with that, but my goal is to help Spectrum keep growing so eventually we can have a Spectrum in every state and eventually be global so there can be more jobs for autistic people and people with developmental disabilities all over. So
So my goal is basically to stay here as long as I can. I basically want to help other people with autism and other people with disabilities. Just basically try to find their full potential and basically try to help them out in any way that I can, even if it's just talking to them and even potentially even helping them with the job and all that.
So since you found a full-time job, both of you are working full-time, what has it done to your social life and your independence?
well, it has helped me a lot. I love going to concerts and traveling and stuff. So being able to make more money, I'm able to do more things. And I made tons of friends here and it's great. And
Boyfriend?
well,
You found a boyfriend
no,
at
I
work?
didn't find a boyfriend here, but I recruited him. So he's here now. My boyfriend is not on the autism spectrum, but the good thing about Spectrum is they employ people of all abilities, neurotypical and that. And if you have the right personality to work with people on the spectrum. So yeah, so I've been able to do a lot, be on a travel, go to concerts, and it's helped my confidence knowing that I'm making all my money. I don't have to rely on someone else to give me money, and I can feel more independent.
That's amazing. And what about you, Robert?
So yeah, ever since getting this position at Spectrum, I've been able to actually spend more time with my parents, like without having to worry about work and all that, and also being able to go to more sporting events. So basically, before I was only able to go to like a sporting event like on a Saturday because that was the only time that I basically would be able to go to one, and also basically hanging out with friends as well. I am a social butterfly, but at times, at first, I'm nervous at first until I get to know the person. But yeah, hey, when I get to know the person, I strive and all that. So I like to try to be myself as much as I can because I don't want to hide what I actually have compared to like what what they what they think that they see. So I want to be like able to show them the full me without any hiccups or anything.
This episode of We're With You is proudly sponsored by PathNow. Looking for disability services shouldn't be so complicated, and PathNow is helping change that with trusted support and tailored matches. PathNow is a free online platform that helps individuals and families across California find autism and IDD services suited to their unique needs. With thousands of organizations listed, PathNow makes it easier to connect, explore resources, and chat directly with providers all in one place. To learn more, visit path-now.com. And now, back to We're With You.
And it's been so great hearing just your experience, everybody's experience at Spectrum. I kind of want to switch it over to Patrick and just ask about inclusive hiring and if you think there's a right way to do inclusive hiring or what should other organizations, companies, nonprofits be thinking about with this?
Is there a right way to do it? Well, I think you have to start, and you have to start somewhere. I think a lot of people want to do it, but fear is getting in the way. The biggest fear I hear from other employers is they never want to be the company that has to discipline or even fire someone with a disability, so they just rather not go near it as a subject. And most people, in fact, every person I've ever asked this question to, I'm sure present company included, Callie and Robert, would be, well, the one thing we want is to be treated the same as everyone else. And that means if you're willing to hire us, then okay. And if we need to be fired, then okay. You know, we don't want you to treat us differently. And so I think that's a big barrier. To me, inclusive employment starts at the job posting, then it goes to the interview process. We talked a little bit about it, but one of the things we have on the top of every job posting is, you know, if you need accommodations for the interview process, please let us know. It seems like a throwaway sentence, but to me, that communicates to any potential candidate, we're an inclusive employer. And you can do that from the moment you post. Then it's the onboarding, it's the types of questions, it's the manner of the interview process. Like Kelly said, are you allowing supports on the interview process? We do a practical assessment of skills. We move to, instead of just saying, hey, Robert, tell us how good you are at operations, we brought him in and said, this is our shop. This is what we do. Do you feel comfortable doing these skills? Do you feel, these tasks? Do you have the skills here? Is this something you do? You're going to be on your feet a lot. Does the environment work for you as much as you work for us? Because so many companies spend time and energy trying to hire people and then it doesn't work out. And so we take that extra step. And then it goes all the way to like the culture. I'll give you a small example. Our facility, our headquarters that we're in right now is on the water. It's a beautiful bay, looks over like you could see New York City from Kelly's office, not from mine. I got a view of the parking lot, but Kelly's office, you can see the skyline of Manhattan. And so we do a summer event and I said, oh, well, why don't we do this boat ride? We'll take a sunset cruise around the dock and go underneath the bridge and look at the skyline. And we did it and we had food. And then the next day, Kelly came to me and said, and I love this. She said, well, that boat ride wasn't very inclusive. I said, so what do you mean? She goes, well, not everyone could fit on the boat. So you can only have like full-time people. And a lot of people here are part-time. A lot of people with autism don't want to be stuck on a boat for 3 hours making small talk with their bosses and people, or anyone, maybe their colleagues, it's just not
A
something.
lot of people don't want to do
Yeah,
that.
a lot of people don't want to do that. Yeah. And so I was like, wow, thank you for saying that to me. I thought it was cool, but like, that's not the point. I'm not the main employee here. And so we shifted to we close early. We do a 3:00 barbecue on site, so we don't ask anyone to go anywhere. We set up a Nintendo Switch. We project it onto the wall of the warehouse. We have music. We have games. People can move around. They can participate as much or as little as they want. We have a basketball hoop, and we have all kinds of food. And like, it's just everyone loves it, and it's a small change that I wasn't too proud to make. And I value that people like Kelly, and we have employees that will come to us and say, these are the things that we need to do to make us a more inclusive company. And I think there's literally books and talks and classes and courses on culture, and all leadership focuses on culture. And the biggest thing I've learned is like, hire the right people, set the right conditions, and leave it alone, right? Like, culture should be determined and set by the people who are in it and living it, not the executives who pop in and pop out of it. And that's that boat ride is a really good example of, if I'd have gone, nope, we're doing a boat ride, I don't care what you say, Kelly, like, we're less inclusive then, and the culture diminishes. And so, those kinds of things are what makes Spectrum, I think.
I think that is an incredible testament to your leadership, and then also that your employees or the people that are working for you feel able to vocalize something that's important to them to make the workplace more inclusive.
Yeah.
Another good thing I would say Spectrum does, well, I'm sure other companies do too, but they just started doing it last year. Most companies do exit interviews on like why you're leaving or why you want to leave, but they started doing last year stay interviews to ask what they could implement and what they could change to make you stay longer. Like, what are you struggling with? And a lot of times, like, they do listen to you. Like, I'd mentioned something to Patrick that we do the employee of the season, and it was normally all of the managers and executives voting on it. But I'm like, they're not on the floor every day interacting with all the employees, so they might not even notice what Robert's doing. So then he talked to the other executives, and they implemented that it's like everyone can vote on employee of the season. So like, they do listen to employee feedback, and if they can implement it, they will try to.
That's amazing.
Patrick, are there any challenges that you have to overcome? Because you hire, what did you say, 70% of your employees are neurodivergent. Are there challenges or anything that you guys have to overcome, like maybe stigma or anything related to that?
Yeah, in terms of getting new customers, there used to be stigma. It's less. I mean, I don't hear it as much, but we did used to have people say, "Oh, I'd love to work with you. I want to help, but is the quality going to be there? I'm sure you're going to be slower, or is the pricing going to be double?" And so we've had to kind of overcome some of those, but that almost makes me double down on our commitment to like blow people away with the quality of the product and the delivery, because that shows and challenges those stereotypes and misconceptions, and that's why what Robert does on the shop floor is so important, because every time he gets an order out accurately on time, which he does all the time, challenges that stereotype and that misconception and that underestimation. The challenges I think we face, and a lot of our employees face, are things like social security. So like, if people can't earn too much money, so we've had people turn down promotions, we've had people turn down opportunities or extra shifts. That's frustrating, because we want to give those opportunities, but thankfully we've been pretty successful at kind of navigating some of those, and the laws and the policies are changing a little bit at the federal level, hopefully. But yeah, I think a lot of the challenges we faced were earlier on. Now the challenges they're different, but we have such a talented human resource team. There's 3 of them, and 2 of them are social workers, and licensed social workers. So any of the kind of socio-emotional challenges that happen whenever you have 100 employees, they're navigating expertly. And frankly, I leave that to the experts, because that's certainly not my area of super strength.
What is the risk of overlooking talented people that don't fit the traditional mold of what we think?
I think Kelly is living proof of that. the employer that overlooked her due to eye contact missed an incredible employee who could have got him 100,000 followers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like most people in the marketing field, and especially in social media, once in their career would hope to get a video that got over 1 million views or whatever. Kelly's got like 5 videos that got over 1 million views. It might be more.
Yeah, I've lost count.
She's lost count. It's no big deal. And it's not just that, right? It's not just the numbers. It's what Kelly brings and what Robert brings in so many other areas. Like we talked about culture, and just Spectrum Designs is one of the most judgment-free places on earth. And I'll come in on a Monday sometimes and just feel a little like anxious or stressed or insecure, and you just walk through the doors and that kind of evaporates, and that's what employers are risking by overlooking that. They're risking and missing out on the opportunity to not only have great talent, but people who are going to add in an immeasurable way to their culture and their workplace environment and their reputation as a company and everything else. Spectrum Designs is successful because of our neuro-inclusive workforce, not in spite of it. And that's so clear.
And I will say that a lot of our most dedicated employees that have been here the longest are our autistic employees. So they're more committed and less turnover rate with autistic and neurodivergent employees. Because the people that have less user are not the autistic ones. So they're very dedicated when they find somewhere or a job that they love.
I think what's so amazing about this is if anybody is listening to this, they're going to see that you guys are leaders in what to do and how to hire and what kind of organization to be. We keep mentioning, Kelly, like you're growing the social media, you're making such a big impact. Why do you think it's resonating with so many people? What is it about what you're posting?
I think in the past, they more highlighted the products and what we're doing, and they weren't really highlighting the people. And what makes Spectrum different is the people that we employ and all the different personalities and what we do. So just highlighting the people that make Spectrum what we are is, I think, why people love our social media and why it keeps growing, because we just keep highlighting all the different people. And that's what makes Spectrum different, because you can get a t-shirt from anywhere, but at Spectrum, you're actually making a difference when you get that t-shirt.
How has working at Spectrum changed how you see yourself?
Working at Spectrum has given me more confidence, and I'm more proud of myself, and I'm less afraid to speak in public and get my story out there to help inspire others.
So, like, I basically have got my anxiety pretty much almost to somewhat almost erased at the moment. Now, I'm still learning about myself. Basically, this place actually, it makes me feel confident in myself and just happy to be here. And as Patrick said before, even if you're actually having a stressful or anxious day, and just basically walking through the doors actually just wipes it away and all those stuff away. It's also a amazing to actually be able to talk to someone and not be actually judged by what you actually are trying to say, and not like basically shooing you away just for being yourself, so to speak.
We ask everyone on the podcast, so I'd like to hear from each of you individually. What is something that you think isn't talked about enough? What do you want people to know about?
I think I would answer that what a lot of employers don't know, it isn't talked about enough, is that there are great organizations out there, a join included, that are there to help employers and help job seekers get connected and work together. And that costs employers nothing. And I think too many employers don't know that these incredible organizations are out there that are seeking to find the best talent possible for them, and then not just place them, but then support them on an ongoing basis if they need it. Employers just don't know that, and they don't know that this is available at no cost to them. And I think that's one of the biggest barriers, because they just go, well, how would I support this person? And it's all there. I don't know. That's quite niche, but but it does it frustrates me because we couldn't do what we do without the organizations we work with, and we're pretty focused on doing it. So other employers need to hear that.
I think that people underestimate people that are on the spectrum, and that you shouldn't judge someone just because they have the diagnosis. Because a lot of times autism is viewed like one way on like the media, and every autistic person is different. So just because you've seen a show like Atypical and the characters like this doesn't mean that everyone is like that. So don't judge a book by its cover. And like Spectrum does, give them a work trial to see how they actually are. Because you know what? An interview is hard for anyone, let alone someone on the spectrum.
Yeah. So I would also say that not a lot is talked about, even with cartoons, like from basically back in the days to actually current ones. I actually found out like 2 years ago that Winnie the Pooh actually had their characters based upon specific like disabilities, and like Tigger is basically ADHD, and Eeyore, everyone basically knows that one, of course, is depression, because he's always like all groggy and moving around and all that. But yeah, so so basically just pay attention to like things around you, and maybe things will actually shock you too.
Way more profound than my answer, Robert.
And the best part is everyone loves Tigger. So like
Yeah.
they didn't even know he's ADHD and they love him.
If there's other people listening to this podcast that have a similar diagnosis, or they're neurodivergent, or have another intellectual disability, what would you say to them if they're trying to find a job and they're struggling finding a job or keeping a job? Do you have any words of encouragement or recommendations for them?
I would say to just keep trying. You'll eventually find a company out there that appreciates you for you and sees what your potential is, and just appreciate you, and you'll be able to make a living, and you might even be able to make an impact too.
Yeah, I basically was going to say something similar to that, but but basically, if you basically take your time and put the right foot forward, and actually potentially know someone in like in a field where you can actually be yourself in, instead of like not eh, instead of having to mask yourself to try to go for it, and if you don't succeed, it's okay. You basically just have to keep on trying until at one point someone sees what you're into, and your likes and dislikes, and decides to give you a shot. So it basically keep on trying, and over time you'll actually end up in a place where you're extremely happy, like I am.
Okay, we have another question. If people want to follow you on social media, get involved with Spectrum, whether that's employment or supporting by purchasing from you, how do people find out about Spectrum Designs?
They can go to our website, spectrumdesigns.org. And we have a Facebook, Spectrum Designs Foundation. We have Instagram, it's Spectrum_Designs. We have a TikTok, Spectrum Enterprises. But if you go to our website, spectrumdesigns.org, all of our platforms are there, and the names of them. So you can follow us on there. And if anyone's interested in a job, right now we are on hiring, but you can always email your resume and cover letter, and we keep them on file. So if you have the type of job we're looking for, we usually go through our database first, then posting on like Indeed and stuff.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for all of your time today. What is the goal for Spectrum? I'm just curious.
We'd love to continue discussions, take what we've, share what we've learned, and hire more people. And we think that we've obviously proven that it can be replicated in New York and in New Jersey and in Florida. So to try and how to do that more, I think would be a natural thing for us over the next few years.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you guys. Thanks for having us.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for
guys.
Thank you.
yeah,
Yes.
thanks for giving
It's
us
been
a
so
platform.
fun.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of We're With You. If you have a great story that you think we should tell, we want to hear from you at podcast@ajoin.org.